startup report today is Paul Lopez, coming from Atlanta. Welcome, sir.
Thanks. Good to have to be here with you, Joe.
So you're very, very deeply ingrained in TiE Atlanta. You are the immediate past chair, does I say that correctly? On the board still, president, immediate past president on the board, and founded quite a few initiatives, or been part of the early birth of a very few initiatives there. One of which we're talking about today is TiE Access, which just had another successful event and pitch competition recently. So tell us a little bit about TiE Access.
What happened is back in December of 19, the TiE Global group said we needed to do more in an intentional way to uplift women-led businesses. I think we all know that we're not doing anywhere the amount of focused work that we need to. So in Q1 of 2020, as we really looked at what is it that we wanted to do, they wanted to do basically, and they still have a fabulous pitch competition that's run globally. What we discovered is that these women-led businesses needed three things. When we really asked and peeled it down, the three things they wanted and needed access to were better networking, better mentoring in a more focused, intentional way, and better funding channels, right? And as we looked at those three items to deliver, we said, you know, what's interesting is if we do that for women-led businesses, we might as well do it for minority-led businesses. They need exactly the same thing. So we checked with Global, and they said, sure, whatever you want to do for women and do for minorities. This was all right pre-Black Lives Matter. So we called our program TiE Access. It turns out 80% of the applicants into our program are women-led businesses. So hooray for them. But there are others led by, Black males, Hispanic males, et cetera, that come into our program. And so hence we kicked it off in spring of 2020.
Great. And what are sort of the components of the program?
So what happens is that it essentially is the three things I mentioned. So the way they do we offer networking is we do think that's one of the secret sauce ingredients and differentiators of TiE. We're across the world. We're certainly in Atlanta, well connected with sister chapters around the place. And so if we could offer, I call them 1 or 2 degrees of separation networking, to these underrepresented founders, that would be good. So we take any company that comes and applies that fits the criteria. We say you have a 1-year scholarship membership to TiE Atlanta. So that's the networking aspect. On mentoring, we give all finalist companies that enter our program 2 mentors. That's, by the way, something we've learned is very interesting. That's just huge magnitudes ahead of having 1 mentor, because it's like having a mom and a dad, as it were. You get different viewpoints, et cetera. You solve the, I can never meet because they're busy kind of deal. For all finalist teams, we offer 2 mentors. And in all cases, last year and this year, at least 1 mentor is female. And then the third part is that we eventually utilize a set of processes to decide the top 3 to 4 companies that we want to invest in through our angel program.
That's great. And you've made this a regional affair now. The most recent program had about 400,000, of which about a quarter of it came from Tampa Bay. Can you talk about how you've reached out and connected with the other TiE groups?
Yeah. So one of the things when we learned how we ran our inaugural program last year, it turned out that a number of chapters across the U.S. Were all interested in doing things for these underrepresented founders. So it turned out last year, about 24% of our raise came from non-Atlanta chapters, everywhere from Boston to Texas to California. So we thought maybe a mechanism to really engage the Southeast is to not just have the funding side of it, but also mentors and applicant companies come from the Southeast. So we reached out and created a partnership with our Tampa Bay sister chapter and our chapter out of Raleigh called TiE Carolinas. So in this particular year, TiE Access 2021 is a partnership between the 3 chapters of Tampa Bay, Atlanta, and Carolinas, starting from literally day one, from getting the right kind of companies that may be in Raleigh or West Palm Beach, or turns out Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, wherever. Right?
That's great. And what has been your experience with the numbers of companies? Has the number of women and minority-led companies that have applied been sort of less than you thought or more than you thought? What are the available companies to look at?
Yeah. So we set a KPI because when you're brand new, you don't know any better. We thought last year we'd say we got 30 applicants, would be good. It turned out we ended up with 51 applicants last year. This year, I don't know, we didn't set a target, but it turned out we got 54 applicants. So it didn't grow a whole lot, but I think the quality of the applicants improved. And we were pickier. One of the requirements for us to move to the semifinals phase this year, we applied was 100,000 of annual revenue as a filter. So that got, in other words, they had some traction, but we could hopefully use a multiplier effect. And then last year we had about 20 semifinalists. This year we picked 17, did deeper due diligence, et cetera. So I'd say the numbers have been pleasant, but I don't, there's still so much we're not doing. I think we could do a lot more.
And a lot of times when you see, the disparity between, specifically with minority-led companies, the common wisdom is that that minority-led companies don't have access to as much friends and family financing, and there's that's a gap to fill. I don't know how that parlays into women-led companies, sort of all ethnicities. But with that tends to be more of an earlier focus. So you kind of went a tiny bit later, looking for that 100K minimum and annual revenue. What was sort of the logic behind that?
Well, part of it was we recognized we wanted to fill a gap where we would get a good return, right? And we recognized there are a lot of cohort programs for women-led or minority-led businesses that are earlier stage than we were. Pre-seed, et cetera, pre-revenue in many cases. Many cohorts run that way. Google for Startups would be an example, et cetera. And so we didn't want to duplicate. We said, could we be, again, a multiplier? So we said we'd pick companies that are a little later stage. And there's also another reason for it. When we've now run an angel program here in Atlanta, and I'm glad to brag that last year we won the best chapter on a global basis for angel programs. One of the things we've learned is our angels want businesses that have some traction. First of all, our angels run other businesses. They don't have a lot of time to go manage the business. We're sort of last money in kind of deal. So they wanted business that had already found some traction. And so we just picked a number of 100K of annual revenue. So it's not a huge number, not like $1 million. Et cetera, but it's also not $10 kind of deal. And to your point, they've sort of by then, these founders have pivoted a little bit. They found some kind of mix. And now what they need is the three things I mentioned that could give them jet fuel to go grow faster.
Got it. All right. So, we are a Tampa-based program, and mentioning that you won the top you were the top ranked
angel
TiE
chapter. Yeah.
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna just speak on behalf of Rich Ruska and take that as a challenge. And Karthik, and we're gonna put our heads together and come after you and see if we can't get that.
Well, I hear that your Tampa has created a program called TiE-Fan. I'm not sure what it stands for. TiE, Florida Angels Network, maybe. But the good news is we never view this as a challenge, Joe. What we've actually done for a couple of years plus is we have actually, since we've been running our stuff hybrid and certainly on Zoom more lately, we have several chapter members from Tampa come in on our deals. So we create an LLC, et cetera, and allow folks from Tampa to come in if they want.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously working together when it comes down to it is what matters. And Thailand is the leader in great due diligence. They're what all the TiEs in the region look to for their capabilities to do that, which is great. And
so the other part is I think that We're growing. I think the good news is the ecosystems for startups are really evolving in all cities, et cetera. But like, for example, the top company that we will invest in for Access this year, their lead investor that they're trying to close a deal in, even though they're out of West Palm Beach, is right here in Atlanta.
Right.
So in that regard, good deals come in all shapes, sizes, and locations.
And that's Couché, I believe it's pronounced, the feminine hygiene project.
Yep.
So they were the winners this year. And one thing I'd like to finish up with one of my favorite topics. You're a co-founder of 1111 Ventures, and you specifically say you're looking at blockchain related companies. So, what's sort of your take on where the best opportunities for startups are coming in through the blockchain space?
Are you asking as an investor where are the best opportunities, or?
Yeah, just sort of just as a general overview of the space. It's a lot of folks are still getting their head around blockchain. So sometimes when you have folks who have traditional investing background and are also have their head in that space as well, just that sort of translation is valuable.
The first lesson is to let people know blockchain is not equal to cryptocurrency. I think that there is a misunderstanding that they're exactly the same thing, because they are trying to find more use cases beyond fintech kind of companies. So if you understand that domain and the applicability of blockchain, certainly in fintech, but beyond that, that's worthwhile. I would say, possibly what I tell people who are trying to invest is find the leaders in blockchain infrastructure, which is what we've done. So we don't invest as much in the blockchain application layer as much as in the infrastructure layer. And the reason for that is we believe it's not quite like the internet, but if you invest in infrastructure, you're going to see a lot more growth. In fact, we recently had a meeting for our LPs. Our last 20 deals have been in blockchain out of the, 49 companies. I can't believe in 3.5 years, we've invested in that many companies. But while we've had a very good return in our more traditional AI, ML, SaaS companies, a very nice return that most VC firms would say, wow, that was great. We've seen more than 2x that in the blockchain side. Now, some of it takes work and effort. My business partner actually has recently moved to live in Miami. And if you don't know, Miami has becoming the blockchain capital of the United States. So I would say there's a lot of information flow and networking and ideas coming, by attending conference. So I'd say, don't dabble, but consider it as part of a diversified portfolio.
Wonderful. Well, appreciate all the work that you do, Mr. Lopez, in the great programs you've started and keeping the TiE fires burning. And I appreciate you spending some time to talk to us about TiE Access, and we'll look forward to a continued partnership.
Yeah, just seems to go with the mission that TiE has, which is to foster the next generation of entrepreneurs who'll do a whole lot better than I ever did if I can teach them some of the don'ts and the do's, hopefully. So certainly it's a labor of love.